Starting us off at number 10 is the floating city. On October 7, 2015, in the city of Foshan, China, a rare mirage occurred in which a city seemed to be floating in the sky. This was literally seen by thousands of people. It wasn't just a trick of the light or someone lying about it. The footage literally looks like a city. You can see the blocks of the buildings and it looks like a skyline. The whole incident only lasted a few minutes before disappearing, but it did end up on the Chinese news. Some people believe it was due to a government project that only the elite know about and therefore it was just dismissed as some kind of reflection of some kind, whereas other people believe it's actually Fata Morgana, which basically just means a very superior form of a mirage. Don't know why they have to give it a fancy name. Either way, I don't think a whole city can somehow become a mirage for a few minutes, but I'm also no scientist, so the wildest explanation I read was that it was part of the Blue Beam project, which is a secret project developed by the US, and the point of it is to manipulate the weather and create artificial natural disasters. I don't know why they would want to fake create that. And the mirage they saw was them testing it out to see how the public would react to it. Don't know why they did it in China though, I doubt they did, but there's that too. Coming in at number 9 is the Death Cloud. Back in 2017, residents of Terceira de Freitas in Brazil saw a menacing sight in the clouds. They dubbed it the Apocalyptic Cloud or the Death Cloud, and the videos literally looks like a red claw has emerged from hell and is reaching into the sky. And the whole thing was red and it looked like it was a shadow of a meteor that was just about to hit Earth but then stopped a bit before it did. It dissipated into nothing within 5 minutes, but residents were truly terrified. Someone thought the world was ending, another thought it was going to form a tornado, whereas some people saw it as the work of God and called it perfection. It really is a mixed bag of reactions really. Perfection on one hand, death cloud on the other, whatever you want really. At number 8 we have the Black Ring. Back in 2015 in Kazakhstan, a video was uploaded by someone living in the village of Shortandi, I don't know, the pronunciation wasn't on Google, don't come for me. They captured what appeared to be a giant black smoke ring in the sky that floated there for 15 minutes and then disappeared as smoke usually tends to do. Now this sort of sight has been seen thrice before, once in Leamington but that was due to a fireworks test, another time in Florida but that was due to a pyrotechnic test, and another one in Chicago due to an electrical transformer blowing up. Nice. Either way, after investigation, nothing seemed to have happened to have caused the ring. No fire related activity, no blown up transformer, nothing. People were speculating whether it was the work of witchcraft or perhaps the portal to hell. Filling our number 7 slot is the Phoenix Light. Back in 2017, a Phoenix City camera as well as thousands of other cameras owned by normal people caught sight of something incredible. The whitish bluish fireball can be seen appearing out of nowhere in the sky and hurtling towards Earth as it gets bigger and brighter and then disappears altogether like it was never even there. Now most people speculated it was a meteor, but many remained unconvinced and looked towards the extraterrestrial as a possible explanation. What do you guys think? Now at number 6 is the Face Cloud. This one happened in 2011 in a place called Grand Falls, which is in New Brunswick, Canada. Dennis LaForge was watering his plants when he looked at the sky and took out his iPhone. The clouds in the video are moving extremely quickly, well quicker than the average cloud would move, and the cloud formation then starts forming a giant face. I kid you not, a giant face. The face gets more detailed as it moves forward and it almost seems like the face is the thing propelling the cloud forward. The space for eye sockets is visible, a nose, lips, a chin, it's so detailed it's not even funny. People dubbed it the face of God gliding across the sky. The only explanation George Isaac had, who is a senior cloud scientist, was that clouds come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Thank you George for that insightful commentary, even I could have said that and I'm not a senior cloud scientist. Coming in at number 5 is the UFO cloud. This one was uploaded by YouTube user UFOVNI, who is a Philadelphia resident. Now we've seen weirdly shaped clouds before, it's definitely not uncommon, but some people believe that UFOs sometimes hide in the clouds to avoid being detected, whereas others go a step further and believe that UFOs can disguise themselves as clouds. I mean, never say never, right? So in this video there seems to be a random small cloud in the sky, but then as you continue watching, the cloud starts moving and shifting in a really weird way. The cloud seems like it's reflective of light and transparent, and it's moving through the sky with a purpose and a lot quicker than a normal cloud. It's even moving faster than the clouds directly around it. The cloud also had different lights in it, and the user went on to narrate he had never seen anything like that in his life, and after watching the video, neither have I. At number 4 is the cloud wave. Back in 2010 on a beach in Helsinki, Finland, people were enjoying their Sunday off at the beach when they suddenly saw a massive dark dramatic cloud coming heading right towards them. Now they initially thought it was a storm cloud, so no real panic had ensued at that point, and I don't even believe it's a storm cloud to be honest, because I've never seen one so vast and dark and low in the sky. Beachgoers said they felt it was so low they could actually touch it. In the video, it literally looks like the cloud will devour anything in its path, like it's the doomsday cloud. I'm not even kidding you. Birds literally flew out of the way of this cloud because it was that ominous. No explanation given, just a bunch of terrified tanned Finnish people. Filling our number 3 slot is the yellow flash. In November of 2013, over the city of Sverdlovsk in Russia, a giant flash happened in the sky. Now mind you, this was at night, so the sky was pitch black 1 second, and then all of a sudden it went red, then orange, then yellow, and then it expanded and took over more of the sky as it changed color. It lasted mere seconds, but it was unmistakable, and there were no military bases near the area, so explanations involving that or disposing of explosives was ruled out. The next explanation was that perhaps it was a bolide linked to the peak of the Leonid's meteor shower, but lights from meteors are usually blue or green or white because of their temperature, so that wasn't it either. Either way, no one knows where the flash came from, but it came and went, and everyone's just gonna pretend like it never even happened. That's brilliant. Let's just continue doing that. Now at number 2 are the fireballs. This one was seen in Canada, and I'm actually speechless over what it could possibly be. It looks like some sort of CGI stuff or some effect of some kind, but it's 100% real. In the sky, there seemed to be 2 flaming balls that had constant streams of white smoke coming out the top of them. But that wasn't even the weirdest part. There seemed to be a line connecting the 2 fireballs, but it wasn't a line, it looked like an electricity link of some kind. It was a straight white line with electrical current seemingly coming off of it. They moved straight across the sky on the trajectory of this line, and no one had any explanation whatsoever on what it was, how it got there, or that energy line connecting them both. And finally, at number 1 are the dancing lights. This one genuinely freaked me out when I watched the footage, I'm not even gonna lie. This one took place in Greenwood, Indiana, and Quaid M13 uploaded quite an HD video of it onto YouTube. Now in the video, the sun itself is behind some clouds that you can see very clearly, but on the left of it there's a stream of yellow light that comes and goes and dances in different directions. It's the exact same color and brightness as the sun's light, and honestly just imagine someone trapped a sun ray in a flashlight and then they were just doing this in clouds. That's exactly what it looked like. The video goes on for 2.5 minutes, and the only explanation people have offered is that perhaps it was a crown flash. And crown flash is due to ice crystals in a cirrus cloud merging with the electrical field of a rising cumulus cloud. I never knew I'd know so much about clouds, but now I do. While the field changes, the crystals snap and move, reflecting sunlight in different ways, hence we saw them dancing. Now some people fully believe that this explanation is the right one, and others say that there's no way that that was that. You guys choose whichever explanation you like. Starting us off at number 10 is sleep paralysis. Now I know you've definitely heard of this one. I feel like we've done countless videos on just sleep paralysis stories alone, but every time I hear the stories of somebody who's gone through it, I get like, you know, like tingly and scared all over. Now sleep paralysis happens when your physical body refuses to wake up, but your brain is still very much active. The paralysis is actually supposed to happen though because it stops us from getting up and acting out our dreams. It prevents sleepwalking, and if you've seen forensic files, then you know that you can actually commit a murder when sleepwalking and not even remember you did it. So prevention is freaking important, you guys. But sometimes it just hangs on for too long, and when we're ready to wake up, our muscles just say, nope, not today. And the scary part comes from the 75% of sleep paralysis victims who also experience hallucinations. These hallucinations, for whatever reason, are rarely ever friendly. People will often experience a sense of dread combined with a feeling of something sitting on their chest or choking them, and sometimes their brain will feel like having an extra bit of fun and make a demon or something just appear somewhere in the room. Coming in at number 9 is REM behavior disorder, which is actually the exact opposite of sleep paralysis, so it's when your brain is asleep but your body is wide awake. People who experience this have been known to scream, yell, punch, thrash out, and yes, sleepwalk. Sometimes they even run around in their sleep. That is good cardio. Now people who experience this will often remember their dream, but they won't remember the movement associated with it. It's kind of like an out-of-body experience, and unfortunately because the reality their brain is telling them is quite often different than their actual reality, injuries are pretty common with these outbursts. REM behavior disorder is usually more common in adults and can sometimes be a sign of Parkinson's disease, but the sleep disorder can be treated with medication, so I mean, yay. At number 8, we have night terrors. These are a bit worse than your average run-of-the-mill nightmares that you're probably familiar with. Nightmares happen during your deep REM sleep, but night terrors happen pre-REM, which can make them seem a lot more realistic. And as scary as they are for the people experiencing them, the fact that they're not in REM can make them do things that are scary for everyone around them as well. People experiencing night terrors will often sit up in their sleep and scream, yell, or cry, and won't be able to be woken back up or comforted. And they sometimes end up sleepwalking too, which sounds like a terrible combination if you ask me. Now thankfully they only do last between 10 to 15 minutes, so thankfully you likely won't have to lay awake for hours listening to your child scream in their sleep. They'll probably wake up and be like, "Mommy, what's going on?" And you'd be like, "Here, Jerry, have a glass of milk." Filling at number 7 slot is exploding head syndrome. Now before you get too concerned, this one is thankfully nowhere near as scary as it's titled. Now for people afflicted with the syndrome, they are often woken up from a really deep sound to an incredibly loud sound like an explosion coming from either right next to their head, or it kind of sounds like it's coming from inside their head. Now apparently there isn't any pain or danger involved, which I personally find very hard to believe. If I'm woken up because of an explosion next to my head, I would think I would at the very least have a headache. But I guess the body's just weirder than I thought it was. I am not a doctor. Now at number 6 is insomnia, and even saying the word automatically reminds me of the Craig David song, which I know every single word to and will be a lifelong banger. Now insomnia is something that is often taken really lightly by a lot of people, but it can actually be very serious. The longest time that anybody has ever been awake because of insomnia is actually 11 whole days. After even just 3 days, hallucinations can start to appear, so imagine what the this person would have been seeing at day 11. Plus, each year sleep deprivation causes at least 100,000 car crashes and 1,550 deaths. Not to mention the other health issues like high blood pressure that can come as a result of it. So yeah, insomnia is a bit scarier and more serious than not being able to fall asleep until 2 AM, which by the way, Becky, is no big deal. Coming in at number 5 is nocturnal eating disorder, aka sleep eating. Something that in theory sounds great, but in reality can be very dangerous. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like, eating while asleep. Being able to eat and sleep at the same time sounds pretty great. Except it's quite dangerous, and not just because it's a major choking hazard, which it is. Now some people who have this disorder are known to use sharp knives or even use a stove or oven when they're asleep, which can obviously lead to some serious injuries. Think of the potential house fires, you guys. Also, something tells me that your sleep self may not be able to tell you not to eat something you're allergic to, so that's just another way this whole thing could go up. And number 4 is narcolepsy. This condition happens when your body is unable to regulate between its sleep and wake cycles, and you just kind of fall asleep anywhere, like randomly. Now just to clarify, this doesn't happen to everyone who has narcolepsy, but it is one of the symptoms. This can be dangerous, of course, namely because people have been known to fall asleep while driving or doing other things that require your full attention. Imagine having narcolepsy and being a surgeon, and then you just fall asleep mid like heart transplant. Actually, they probably don't let you become a surgeon if you're a narcoleptic. Someone tell me, I don't know. Filling on number 3 slot is false awakening. Have you ever had a dream where you were peeing only to wake up to a wet bed? That is, as far as I can tell, the only definition of false awakening, wetting the bed. Which, like, in the grand scheme of things, really isn't that big of a deal. Half of us have wet the bed a billion times growing up, so whatever. But it can definitely be super embarrassing when you're a full adult, and sometimes if it happens regularly to an adult, it can be an indicator of an even bigger health issue. Okay, so TMI now. The last time I actually remember peeing the bed was when I was like 7 and my family and I were on holiday to Thailand, and my sisters were arguing because they both wanted a bed to themselves, but I obviously had to sleep with one of them, and obviously that sister was not happy and then was actually mortified when I then later peed the bed hours later. Now at number 2 is Klein-Levin syndrome, also known as sleeping beauty syndrome, and also not sponsored by Calvin Klein. This to some sounds like an absolute dream, no pun intended. This is when you can sleep for an insane amount of time, and I'm talking like 20 hours a day, and these episodes can last for days or weeks and are also characterized by binge eating, compulsive behaviors, apathy, hallucinations, and childlike behavior. I'm sure we've all had our parents yell at us for sleeping too much, but I'd hope the parents of people with this syndrome are a bit more understanding, considering the fact that this is a bit more than a teenager being lazy. It's actually really hard to live with. Imagine you're in high school and you have a bunch of assignments due, or you're about to study for a final exam a week from now, and then you fall asleep and then wake up 30 minutes before the exam. Like, it's debilitating. And finally, at number 1 is getting beat up. In your sleep, even though you live alone. Now this phenomenon has a surprising amount of stories to go along with it, considering the fact that it sounds kind of impossible. But yeah, a lot of people have claimed that they wake up after feeling like they're being hit or punched or beaten up in their sleep, and even have bruises when they wake up, which would suck normally and probably cause a fight between siblings, except these people mostly live alone. Some scientists chalk it up to them flailing around and injuring themselves in their sleep, but even more people think that there's a more supernatural reason behind it. Honestly, anytime I wake up with like a random scratch on my arm or back, I'm like, whoa, where the hell did that come from? And then I realized it was me scratching myself in my sleep. Oopsies.
In our number 10 spot, we have Venus passing the sun. I remember when this happened, and it was extraordinary. Now, if you missed it, then that's okay. There will be other magical space phenomena that will happen in your life, I'm sure. But if you didn't, then you will probably remember that on June 5th and 6th of 2012, Venus passed across the sun, causing a small black dot to appear on the sun's surface. It was pretty spectacular and lasted for only 6 hours. Unfortunately, it will not occur till 2117, so we won't get to see it again, but our great-great-grandchildren will, so that's cool for them. Anyways, it feels like there's something new happening in the sky all the time these days, so if you missed this, it's all good. I bet you next we'll all witness a spaceship coming to Earth, and that will be way cooler than Venus looking like a dot on the sun. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to us for more content like this. In our number 9 spot, we have regrowing a set of teeth. When we are born, we grow baby teeth, and then when we get to a certain age, they fall out and we grow adult teeth. But the process then ends there. If we knock out our adult teeth, then that's it. We can never regrow a set of teeth. It's so interesting to think about the fact that this only happens as a kid and then never ever again. It almost makes the baby teeth falling out process super special, and perhaps this is the root as to why the tooth fairy legend was invented, as a sort of celebratory occasion that will never happen again. Probably not, but whatever. For your tooth, I shall give you $1 as a congrats. This is something that will never ever happen again in an entire lifetime. I will definitely make this a celebratory event when I have kids. In our number 8 spot, we have a dirty thunderstorm. Alright, so what is a dirty thunderstorm? Well, it's a very rare and fantastical thing to occur, and it is created only by a powerful volcanic eruption. Lightning bolts shoot out of an erupting volcano, which is what gave it its name of being dirty. It is apparently one of the most terrifying yet breathtaking things to ever see, and really it's a once-in-a-lifetime sort of thing if you see it. Over the last 2 centuries, over 200 cases of volcanic lightning have been documented, so it's safe to say that probably 200 people have witnessed this. So if you're a part of that very small percentage, then you are very, very lucky. In our number 7 spot, we have your first words. The very first word you ever say on this planet is an extraordinary thing. You will never speak your first word ever again. Your first word could define your whole personality. Okay, fine, that's a stretch. You're a baby. But still, I'm convinced that the humans that say poop as their first word are probably going to grow up and be the class clown, let's be real. This gave me the idea to look up some of the funniest first words ever spoken, and so I've compiled a list for you. Here is my list within this list. This is quite the inception moment. Number 1, poop, of course. 2, balloon. Huh. Number 3, shoes. A future shopaholic right there. Number 4, cheese. And 5, gargoyle. All I can imagine is that the parent must have some kind of Hunchback of Notre Dame stuffy that's a gargoyle, because how the heck is that a first word? Just kinda creepy and hilarious all at the same time. Anyways, the first word is a fascinating phenomenon that will never happen again. In our number 6 spot, we have fire rainbows. A fire rainbow is neither a fire in the sky nor a rainbow, but a result of light being refracted as it passes from the moon or the sun over the ice crystals within the atmosphere. This especially happens with cirrostratus or cirrus clouds in the sky. How frequent is it? Well, this is dependent on a few factors, including the region and latitudinal location. In the USA, you can see a fire rainbow usually in the summer, but you rarely can see this phenomena in Europe. The areas that won't see it are usually ones that are 55 degrees north and south of the equator, and that is usually due to conditions required for the formation of their circumhorizon arc. The discovery of the fire rainbow has led to scientific study that has boosted the study in light and the creation of artificial fire rainbows. This would truly be a once-in-a-lifetime thing to see unless you live close to the equator, but still, it would be truly beautiful to witness. In our number 5 spot, we have the water elephant. This is something so cool that I found that I'm excited to share. This is one of those things that just randomly happens and it's once in a lifetime and you can't explain it, but it's mind-blowing and so cool to see. This is a picture of an elephant in a lake with 4 humans that are seemingly helping it take a bath. They are throwing water on him and someone is taking a picture when the most extraordinary thing happens. The water that was thrown on the elephant was in the shape of an elephant. What? That's a magic. You cannot convince me otherwise. In the moment, I bet those people didn't notice, but I wonder how their faces looked when they saw this picture. Life can be so randomly beautiful, and this is definitely one of those moments. In our number 4 spot, we have fire tornadoes. Fire tornadoes are very, very rare and are really quite a new phenomenon, only being documented quite recently. As you can imagine, a fire tornado essentially occurs when great turbulent wind meets a fire, and this creates a rotating eddy of air, which then expands into a tornado. The fire tornado is also known as the fire whirl, fire twister, and fire nado. Like I said, they're quite rare, but some people did observe one in 2003 in Canberra, Australia. In our number 3 spot, we have this bizarre once-in-a-lifetime outfit. Okay, this is certainly bizarre, and it happened naturally, and it certainly is one of those things that you see once in a lifetime, and it made me laugh. So let's take a look. A girl posted this pic online and entitled it, "Has anyone seen my grandma?" I truly laughed out loud when it hit me that this girl's grandma is dressed exactly like the carpet. How? Well, I mean, the print is very grandma and carpet-like all in one, but still, so funny and bizarre, and I couldn't help but chuckle, so I had to share. In our number 2 spot, we have the blue lobster. Okay, so before I begin this one, I have to say, I had no idea that a blue lobster even existed. So, lo and behold, it does, folks. And this person online shared a picture of one that her friend's dad caught. Apparently, the chances of catching this lobster are 1 in a million, so yeah, this is one of those situations that doesn't even happen for most people in their lifetime. Apparently, the odds of the lobster being blue in the first place is 1 in 2 million, so yeah, this is a very rare thing to happen. I googled why it is blue, and it is this way due to a genetic abnormality that leads to an overproduction of a certain protein. Anyways, this is pretty cool, and I would think it to be very lucky if you ever saw one in person. In our number 1 spot, we have your first love. Your first love, your first kiss. They're so special. I'm feeling so romantic, guys. Can't help myself. This is one of those things that will never happen again, which is why most of us never forget our first love or first kiss. The first has an impact on us and can often define our perspective on relationships in the future, unless we go through intensive therapy. My first kiss is something I will never ever forget, and I certainly won't forget the first time I fell in love. Love is such a bizarre, natural human experience, and one I wish for all of you to experience in your life. Ah, shucks. Okay, we're getting all sappy now. Love you guys.